In our consumer alerts, a new generation of Americans is discovering farming. Many of them are transplants from bigger cities.
Reporter Dean Reynolds tells us how this new generation is getting their hands dirty.
John and Hallie Wepking have come a long way from their lives in New York City.
The hustle and bustle of New York City and the crowds and the noise and all that to this.
Yeah, it's very different.
They draw their excitement now from the land they work in western Wisconsin. The livestock, the grain, and the beauty of this place, elements that fuel a youthful trend on the farm these days. The Agriculture Department has found that for only the second time in the last century, the number of farmers under 35 years of age is increasing. The Wepkings live and work on Paul Bickford's 700-acre spread in a deal to one day take over the Bickford farm.
A real good friend of mine told me one time, he says, farming is a higher calling.
You agree with it, your friend?
Yeah.
The Wepkings answered an ad Bickford placed on Craigslist, looking for an enterprising couple who would protect the land and the way of life.
One more in addition to that.
Their harvest is marketed as Meadowlark Organics, feeding a national consumer demand for locally grown foods.
You're working with the stuff that came out of the ground right here around your house.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the dream.
It's a risk to leave jobs and salaries in a big city for the blisters and capricious, even calamitous weather that farmers endure.
It's not for everybody, but for us, it's a beautiful life. I don't think either of us have any regrets about it.
No.
How can you keep them down on the farm after they've seen Times Square? This is how. Dean Reynolds, CBS News, Ridgeway, Wisconsin.
According to the USDA, California leads the country as the largest producer of agricultural products, accounting for almost 11% of the national total. Iowa, Texas, Nebraska, and Minnesota round out the rest of the top 5.
Okay, we're keeping track of the Senior Bowl because there's a Bison player involved.
just like a couple years ago, we were keeping our eyes on the Senior Bowl down in Alabama because there was a Bison player involved. This time it's Nick DeLuca. We'll update you on his status down there in Alabama next in sports.